Hi, I'm Heather Entricken, General Chair of the American Baptist Women in Ministry Annual Appeal for ABC USA. Have you ever thought about how you got to your current place of ministry? Who influenced you along the journey? What advice might you give to others as they perhaps struggle to find their way in ministry? You are not alone. In fact, your journey as a woman in ministry or a supporter of women in ministry is part of the fabric of ABC leaders who have helped shape the past and current landscape of thousands of women and men, ordained and licensed, to carry out God's mission. We know that mentors play an enormous role in helping women recognize and fully live out their God-given calls. This and other mentor stories highlight the importance of advocating and strengthening mentoring relationships throughout our journey together. Because you have already walked this road yourself, you are essential to addressing challenges we continue to face in fully accessing, embracing, and utilizing all God's gifts in all God's people for all God's good.
I was working in community development and community affairs and services. I was working for United Way of Greater Milwaukee. My background was in urban affairs, urban planning. And then I sensed God's call to me to come into ministry. God said in my heart that I want you to do this kind of community planning for me, but for me, purpose to help build my kingdom, my community here on earth. And so with that much that I understood that God wanted me to come into full-time service. And so I did that, and I attended seminary at Morehouse School of Religion in Atlanta, Georgia. And while there, I became a watch care member of the West Hunter Street Baptist Church, where Ralph David Abernathy was the pastor. Reverend Dr. Abernathy took me in and gave me such wonderful pastoral care. He influenced me in the way in which I would sit and hear him preach about justice, mercy, righteousness, and God's plan for God's people and for the world. I would listen to him preaching a social gospel. I would hear him share with all of us the witness he had to the ministry that he and Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. had engaged in with the civil rights movement, or the movement as he would only refer to it as. I was so moved and impressed and influenced by that, coupled with my background of already having had pastors and coming from a church that was deeply engaged in the justice and civil rights movement in Milwaukee. But I remember one time in particular when we were on a trip, and I sat with Reverend Abernathy literally on the floor at his feet in the lobby of a hotel. And I listened to him share with me very closely and personally what being called to that kind of ministry meant for him, the kind of ways in which he and Dr. King worked together as partners in ministry. It was then that I became so aware of the humanity of Dr. Abernathy and the ways in which those persons who gave their lives in service and in ministry to civil rights movement, to social justice, were very much impassioned, but also called and strengthened by God to do the work they were called to do. With that influence, I persisted in seminary and was ordained by Reverend Abernathy. That itself was a justice move, because in Atlanta at that time, the ministers had voted not to ordain or license any woman in ministry. So what do I have to share with you as advice? I would say to follow your heart, your spirit, and your call, wherever and to whomever God leads you to be of help to you, and for you to be of help to them. To follow that call to all the various ways in which we are all called into ministry. For ministry is life, and ministry is service. It is our way of giving God our life of service.
Perhaps you wonder, how can I help now? Through American Baptist Women in Ministry's Access for Excellence initiative, your mentor story, like this story, regional participation, and/or financial gift can support our mission to open doors for current and future women in ministry. To learn more about how to share your mentor story and other ways to give, please contact ABC USA's Office of American Baptist Women in Ministry at 800-222-3872, extension 2070, or email patricia.hernandez@abcusa.org. We have the challenge. We know the mission. Let's all join in this adventure of helping new and current generations of women develop their calls to ministry and leadership in God's body. Your witness will make a difference. So please let us hear from you now. Thank you, and God bless you.